The Sinking City 2 takes the series in a more survival horror direction, mixing third-person combat and exploration, investigation, and resource management. After spending time exploring the flooded streets of Arkham, searching for clues, and dealing with the creatures hiding in the dark, I could say there's a lot to like here. But does The Sinking City 2 have enough to keep you invested, or does the horror start to fall apart? Let's talk about it. The Sinking City 2 takes us back into a dark and disturbing version of the 1920s Arkham. The city has been changed by a mysterious supernatural flood, leaving behind flooded streets, abandoned buildings, strange occult secrets, and creatures that definitely don't want you walking around their city. You play as Calvin Rafferty, an occult adventurer who gets pulled into a mystery that quickly becomes much more dangerous. As I played through the game, a lot of the story came from exploring Arkham, searching for clues, and trying to figure out what was actually happening around me. What I like about the story is that it doesn't throw monsters at you. There's a big investigation side to the game, and you have to pay attention to your surroundings if you want to really understand what's going on. I'm not going to spoil anything here, but the story does a good job of creating questions that made me want to keep exploring. There are a lot of mysteries surrounding Arkham, and the game does a great job of making you want to find out what's waiting around the next corner. Overall, I like the direction the story takes. It's dark, mysterious, and doesn't give anything away right away, which actually works well for this type of horror game in a way. When it comes to presentation, The Sinking City 2 is definitely one of those games that can make you stop and look around. Playing on the Xbox Series X, the game uses Unreal Engine 5.8 to create a flooded 1920s Arkham that looks both beautiful and creepy at the same time. The city itself is one of the biggest highlights. You have old Art Deco buildings, flooded streets, dark alleys, damaged interiors, and abandoned areas that makes it feel like this place has been falling apart for a long time. The lighting also does a lot of work. Dark hallways, shadows, reflections, and water effects create a constant feeling that something could be watching you. There were plenty of times when I would walk into an area and just think, okay, something is definitely about to happen. On Xbox Series X, the game targets 60 frames per second, and when it's running well, the game feels smooth and responsive. That's important during combat because you need to aim, move, and react quickly when these creatures start to come after you. The sound design is also really good. You have water drippings, footsteps, creature sounds, echoes, and other little things that makes the city feel alive, or should I say alive in the worst possible way. The music also fits the game really well. It knows when to stay quiet and let the environment create the tension, and then it knows when to kick in and let you know that things are about to get bad. Overall, the presentation is one of the strongest parts of The Sinking City 2. The visuals, lighting, sounds, and music all work together to create a world that I actually wanted to explore, even when I knew something terrible could be waiting for me. This is where The Sinking City 2 really changes things up. The game leans much more into survival horror, third-person combat, resource management, exploration, and investigation, like I said earlier. Combat can get pretty intense because you can't just run into every fight shooting everything in sight. Ammo and other resources are limited, so I found myself thinking about when I should fight and when I should save my supplies. You run into different creatures throughout Arkham, and each encounter can feel different depending on where you are and what resources you have available. Sometimes it's better to take the fight, while other times you're better off playing it safe. There are also safe areas where you can take a breath, check your equipment, and get ready for what's coming next. I like that because it gives you a little break from the tension before sending you right back into the nightmare. Investigation is still a big part of the game too. I spent a lot of time researching areas for clues, looking through journals, examining strange objects, and trying to figure out what the game was pointing me towards. And that's something I really enjoyed. The game rewards you for actually looking around. Not everything is put right in front of you, so you have to pay attention to your surroundings. The game also has different difficulty options, which is nice because not everyone wants the same horror experience. If you care more about the story and atmosphere, you can make things a little easier. If you want more of a survival horror challenge, the harder options make your resources and decisions matter extremely crazy more. Overall, the gameplay does a good job of mixing combat, exploration, investigation, and survival, like I said earlier. And you're not just shooting monsters, you're searching for answers, watching your resources, and trying to figure out what's going on in this messed up version of Arkham. Now, as much as I enjoyed the atmosphere and gameplay, The Sinking City 2 does have some problems. The biggest issue I ran into was performance. While on the Xbox Series X version can hit that 60 frames per second target, there are times when the frame rate drops, especially in areas with a lot going on the actual screen. It doesn't completely ruin the game, but you can definitely notice it. I also ran into some visual issues. There are moments where lighting can flicker on screens, effect can look a little off. These problems don't happen all the time, but they can take you out of the horror when they do. There are also some small graphical glitches with certain objects and environments. Again, nothing that completely breaks the game, but for a game that looks as good as this one, those little problems stand out. There are also some rare crashes that can happen when entering certain areas. I didn't run into them constantly, but having to restart a game because of a crash is never something you want to see. In the crashing situation, that was just like one time that it happened to me. It wasn't really major in that realm. Another small issue is that some areas can also be so dark that it's hard to tell where you're supposed to go. I understand that darkness is a part of the horror, but there's a difference between making an area creepy and making it hard to figure out where the path is, even if the flashlight is on. None of these issues ruin my experience, but they do show that the game could use some more polish. Few performance fixes, bug fixes, and visual improvements could go a long way, but all in all, this is a phenomenal game. After spending time with The Sinking City 2, I think there's a lot to like here. The game has great horror atmosphere, a mysterious story, and a world that made me want to keep exploring. I also like the way the game mixes survival horror with investigation. You're not just walking around shooting monsters, you're searching for clues, managing your resources, and exploring Arkham, and trying to figure out what the hell is actually going on. The biggest problem is the technical side. Frame rate drops sometimes, but not a lot. It's just once in a blue moon. Lighting flickers, small graphical glitches, and rare crashes keeping the game from feeling as polished as it should be, but it's only minor. But even with those issues, I still wanted to keep exploring Arkham and see what was waiting for me around that next corner. So for that, I give The Sinking City 2 a 4 out of 5. Thank you for tuning into the best place for independent gaming journalism, and that's the gamer section. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit the like button on the video, share this video with other horror fans, and please subscribe to the channel for more reviews, news, unboxings, and gaming content. This is Kana from the gamer section, and I'll catch you guys in the next review.